So, what has our favourite Chinese multi-hyphenate speedster been up to this week? Find out on the YIBO Weekly. Well, the news this week is almost entirely about the racing on the weekend. So YIBO, as part of the UNIQ-racing team, which is 2 cars in the GT, I don't even really have the right language for this. I think in other times and places it's been called supercar racing. Anyway, the China GT Championship finale for the year happened in Shanghai over the weekend, and 2 cars from UNIQ-racing drove. YIBO drove in car 85 with David Pun as his racing partner. They had a practice day at the track on Friday. They had qualifying and the first race on the Saturday, and then they had the final race on Sunday. I am not a racing girly. I don't really understand how any of this works, but I do know that YIBO looked like he was having a grand time in all of the things that I've seen. They qualified 20th and 5th. I don't even know if I'm remembering the numbers right. They qualified quite low. So when the races started on the grid, they were at the back of the grid. So for the first race in particular, they started quite far back. They finished 3rd in their class, which was very exciting. YIBO was very excited. They made the podium for the first race. They didn't finish in the top 3 in the second race on the Sunday, but they did finish. And in both races, actually, there were a number of incidents. It was raining on and off on the Saturday, and so that always adds a certain amount of danger. There was also one car at least had like fire coming out of whatever at both days during both races. So there were in fact a number of dangerous incidents, and YIBO did not get injured, and in fact the car finished both races. So, you know, I am perfectly happy with the results, and they did manage to get a podium on one of the days, and champagne sprayed around. So anyway, there's a million photos because it was a public event. Apart from evisuracing, who is the main racing sponsor, Castrol was also a sponsor of the racing this time around, and so they posted stuff about it. Edifier, which is not a sponsor of YIBO's racing team, also race in this GT championship. Well, at least their boss, one of the co-founders of Edifier, is a long-time racer, and he races in this class of car. And so there are photos from Edifier, photos and videos from Edifier as well from the track. I'll just put in a few here now. I don't have a great deal of insight or analysis to share about the racing, and so even though that was the big event and took up huge amounts of time, I don't have much to say. I put up a number of the videos elsewhere on my channel in case anybody wants to watch them. One of them got copyright striked for one of the YIBO official ones got copyright strike for the music that they put on the back. So thanks very much for that choice, YIBO official. That one is blocked worldwide, so you can't see that one. But yeah, if anybody is actually a racing person and wants to go and look, I put up most of the official things that I could find elsewhere on the channel. Apart from that, there hasn't been a great deal of news this week. YIBO posted on the 18th, which was last Thursday. The 18th of September is a relatively solemn day of remembrance in China. It's There was an incident, which is kind of one of the things that they mark as the beginning of their war with Japan. And on that day, there's basically nothing on, the Chinese internet except official memorial stuff. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he was at the track. The only other things that I think as far as news that I have to share, Vogue on Monday, every Monday they release their best dressed of the week list, and YIBO was on it based on one of his photo shoot from his debut anniversary, which we talked about last week. So he made the list again. The only other thing I can think of is not really YIBO, but YIBO adjacent. And there's a couple of things. Firstly, Arc'teryx, which is not one of YIBO's brands, but he wears a lot of Arc'teryx and did actually go to an Arc'teryx sponsored climbing camp, or Arc'teryx run climbing camp quite recently. So he is associated with Arc'teryx in the public imagination. In my imagination, Arc'teryx got themselves in real trouble in China this past week. And so, yes, that's a thing. They sponsored an art installation or a festival or something in Tibet that went quite wrong. So there's been a lot of talk on the Chinese internet. I'm not going to go into the details of what happened with Arc'teryx. It's just because I'll say something that's wrong and I'll get in trouble. But yes, Arc'teryx has been in the public eye for the wrong reasons this week, and that is like an interesting thing Wang YIBO wise. The only other thing is, again, not Wang YIBO directly. Wang YIBO like adjacent in a kind of like archaeological way. Cho Sang-yun, one of YIBO's bandmates back from UNIQ days, commonly known now as his artist name is Woods. He has he just got out of the Korean military not that long ago. He's got his first full release since his return today, actually. It's coming out this afternoon. So that's very exciting. A brand new single from Woods. I'm very happy. But also there were photos just released yesterday of a spread he did for Elle Men Korea, shilling for Bleu de Chanel, the perfume that Wang YIBO always like does stuff for. So like in my brain, it's like, oh, Woods and YIBO together again for Chanel. How good would that be? But it's actually only happening in my brain. At this point in time, only happening in Jane's brain and not in the real world. But who knows? Let's hope. That would be super fun seeing them together again for something. That would be awesome. Anyway, that is all the ramblings that I have. That brings us up to brand stuff. There's two big brand pieces of news this week, and neither of them are fully formed yet. The first is about Lacoste. Lacoste is bringing out a Lacoste X Wang YIBO collection. It's called From YIBO. He was actually seen wearing items from the collection when he traveled to Shanghai on Thursday or Friday last week. And Lacoste has dropped the first sort of teaser of the promotion, but the full-fledged stuff hasn't come out yet. Maybe there'll be something in there that fits me. I don't know. It's a unisex collection, and it has a little embroidered logo that says in English From YIBO. So yeah, that's very fun. The second big brand piece of news is there is a new endorsement arriving again today. It's going to be announced today. It may have actually already been announced, and I haven't been on Weibo, so I haven't seen it. White Elephant Foods. In their sort of run-up, preliminary preheating stuff, they've done all this stuff with coriander. So I think we're going to have a bunch of like maybe coriander flavored ramen or something coming out. I don't know. I'm waiting to see. But anyway, that's another endorsement. And by my count, that brings it up to 32. I don't know what the world record is, but he must be getting close, I figure. So apart from White Elephant Foods, which hasn't happened yet, or it hasn't happened in the time period that I'm talking about, and apart from the From YIBO Lacoste collection, Jimmy Choo did some a beautiful ad with some photos during the week. It's a diamond collection, and there's some shoes and leather bag and stuff in it, and they've got a little bit of vid and some photos. It looks gorgeous. uemura did another YIBO promotion that had a couple of photos and a full video ad. Ya Duck. It was the autumn equinox yesterday or the day before, and they launched their new seasons, because they mostly do winter wear. They really only promote for half the year basically, and the clock has ticked. We're back around to Ya Duck time, and there were 2 new beautiful Wang Yibo picks as part of that. So awesome. What else was there? Edify had a pick, had a new pick. Was there anything else? Have I forgotten something? I think that's probably mostly it. Apart from the racing, it's been a relatively quiet week, which is good because it means I can get out of here without bending a ear for 17,000 hours. What are we looking forward to? There is, of course, the White Elephant brand launch. There's bound to be lots of materials there. There's the Lacoste collection, which I'm excited to see. I believe he's going to one of the fashion shows in Paris soon. The dates escaped me. We've got more racing in October. Who knows? Chang'e's movie might come out this week. I don't know. When is that ever going to come out? I don't know. Anyway, I've put links to lots of the stuff that I've talked about in the description below. I'm going to play us out with a little bit of video from the race meet. I hope you're all well, and I hope you have a wonderful Wang Yibo Wednesday.